The galaxy's most watched broadcast did not open with fanfare, but with silence. A deliberate silence, wide and echoing, as though the very stars held their breath. Then a single image bloomed across every public screen, every council chamber, every marketplace projector in the spiral arms. 3 young human girls, bound at the wrists, standing in a harsh cone of white light. They were no more than 17 or 18, their cheeks pale, their eyes hollow but unbroken. The camera fed their fear to billions, a spectacle intended to humiliate a species that had always seemed too small, too late to the interstellar stage. Behind them loomed the alien captors, the Vadran Dominion, a reptilian empire of scale-armored governors and soldiers who prided themselves on cruelty, as if it were culture. Their teeth glistened in cruel smirks, their segmented armor clattering, as they shifted positions like predators savoring a meal before the first bite. The voice of their commander slithered across the audio channels. "Behold, galaxy," it crooned, savoring every syllable. "Behold humanity, so fragile, so misplaced in the cosmos. These specimens trespassed on our war front, and for their insolence, for the arrogance of your species' stubborn survival, they shall be an example." The alien raised a blade curved like a crescent moon. The camera closed in on the 3 girls' faces. One bit her lip so hard a bead of blood showed, refusing to whimper. Another, her hair tangled, managed to lift her chin defiantly toward the lens, as though daring the galaxy itself to look away. The youngest closed her eyes, whispering something, perhaps a prayer, perhaps a curse, unheard beneath the swelling alien anthem. Across the chamber of the Galactic Council, 1,000 voices reacted in their layered ways. Gasps, disgust, polite indifference. Some species glanced away, tails twitching, wings folding. Others chuckled nervously, muttering about the human problem at last being put in its place. Only one representative rose when the execution blade fell. He was human, tall, broad-shouldered but not imposing, dressed not in ornate military garb, but in a plain dark suit that looked almost anachronistic among shimmering robes and armored shells. His name was Ambassador Cole Harridan, a man whose genial smile was so consistent that other diplomats often mistook it for weakness. They called him the ever-grinning ape. They said it like a joke, until they met his eyes too long and found nothing but calculation staring back. Cole did not flinch when the blade came down. He did not gasp when 3 bright lives ended in a single brutal gesture, broadcast to every corner of civilized space. His smile only curved tighter, like a mask drawn snugly to hide something heavier beneath. A hush fell. The Vadran commander turned toward the council camera, blood still clinging to his blade, voice triumphant. "This is what awaits your kind if you resist. Let the humans learn. Your daughters, your sons, your very name will be erased." Cole's voice cut in before the echo faded. Calm, rich, with just enough humor to make it jarring. "Commander," he said, bowing his head slightly, as though thanking a waiter for delivering a fine meal. "That was educational. I appreciate the clarity of your broadcast. Saves me a good deal of time explaining to my colleagues exactly what your dominion represents." The chamber rippled with confusion. The aliens hissed, some offended by his composure, others by his apparent lack of grief. Was this not his species' humiliation? Cole lifted his hands, palms out, as though soothing children. "I'm sure my fellow council members here are thinking many things. Some may see weakness. Some may see tragedy. Some," his eyes twinkled, "may even see opportunity. But me? I see a countdown." "Countdown," rasped a counselor from the feathered Cyril species. Cole inclined his head politely. "Yes. 30 minutes. Give or take. Earth standard, of course. That's all we ever need." The chamber buzzed with murmurs, translators struggling to parse his tone. The Vadran commander laughed sharply, amused. "Empty threats from a race whose children bleed at my feet. You posture with metaphors. We wield steel." "Steel," Cole mused, still smiling, "rusts." An insectoid delegate chittered nervously, unsure if the human was attempting humor or something far darker. A mammalian species with curled horns leaned to a colleague and whispered, Is this one serious? Or is it the Apes Theater again? Cole adjusted his cufflinks, a small, deliberate act of composure. Forgive me if I speak in idioms unfamiliar to some of you. Humans, we've always had a knack for dressing terrible truths in friendly clothing. Makes them easier to swallow. But let me assure you, we do not take kindly to executions of our daughters on public stage. A slithering amphibian delegate rolled its eyes. Always so dramatic, humans. You pretend grief while masking impotence. Cole's gaze flicked to them, his smile tightening just enough to become unsettling. Impotence is such a dangerous word to throw around, he replied lightly. Particularly in a chamber where your species owes us the very antibiotics that cured your fertility collapse last century. But by all means, keep underestimating us. It makes the next part easier. That drew silence. The Vadran commander barked a laugh. Empty bluffs. The galaxy watches your humiliation, ape. No one fears Earth. You are a footnote species. Cole spread his arms wide, as if conceding the point. Then consider this footnote a warning label. The council chamber was alive now, buzzing with unease. Some species shifted uncomfortably. Some suppressed laughter. But a few, just a few, watched the human too closely and recognized something in the cadence of his voice. Restraint. Not weakness. Not grief. Restraint. Cole took a step forward, voice lowering, every word suddenly sharp as glass wrapped in velvet. We smile. We joke. We drink with you. We share our music and our food. But when you harm our children, Commander, 30 minutes is all you'll ever have left. Gasps spread. A reptilian delegate barked at him. Is that a declaration of war? Cole tilted his head innocently. War? Oh no. Such an ugly, formal word. Let's just call it consequences. And then, as though the matter were concluded, he straightened his suit jacket, gave the chamber a warm, utterly disarming grin, and said, Well then, I should excuse myself. The clock starts now. He turned, striding from the chamber without a backward glance, leaving ripples of confusion in his wake. Some delegates laughed, assuming human melodrama. Some cursed his audacity. A few whispered to each other in alarm, recalling stories of Earth's ancient wars. Wars fought not with polite warnings, but with ruthless precision. Behind him, the broadcast feed lingered on the blood-stained floor where 3 young girls had fallen, before dissolving into static. And somewhere, invisible to most sensors, the first human fleets began to shift from shadows into striking distance. The clock ticked in silence, though no one in the Galactic Council chamber heard it but the humans. Cole Harridan had left with a courteous bow, his polished shoes echoing on marble floors, his smile lingering like a ghost. To the rest of the chamber, the moment seemed absurd. 30 minutes? A metaphor, surely. A bluff dressed in human idioms, the kind of dramatic speech their species loved to lace into negotiations. Yet unease lingered, clinging like smoke after fire. In the shadowed corners of the council chamber, whispers spread. A scaled Zale representative leaned toward his insectoid neighbor. They are dramatists, these humans. They weep with one hand and threaten with the other. Do not let the ape's grin unsettle you. The insectoid's antennae twitched uneasily. I remember Earth's first war with the Threx Syndicate. They smiled then, too. Smiled, right until the Syndicate was ash and bone. Above them, in hidden orbit around the Council's own station, human warships stirred like beasts waking from slumber. Cloaked behind refractive shields, their presence went unnoticed, every movement disguised as cosmic background noise. On Earth itself, light years away, the war rooms were alive with energy. Screens glowed across subterranean bunkers, operators shifting with a casualness that seemed incongruous given the stakes. A young lieutenant leaned back in her chair, chewing gum, while her fingers danced over tactical keys. Coffee machines down again, she muttered. If command wants Armageddon in 30 minutes, someone better fix that before I mutiny. Her commander, a grizzled man with a scar across his jaw, didn't look up from the screen showing alien fleet movements. We'll bring coffee to the afterlife, he said dryly. Focus on countdown protocols. The room chuckled, laughter cutting tension like a knife. Humans had always done that, joking in the jaws of annihilation. Where other species shrieked and fretted, humanity joked, as though gallows humor itself were a kind of weapon. A wall-sized screen flickered to life. Cole Harridan's face appeared, his smile no less steady now that he had left the chamber. His voice was calm, clipped, the tone of a man ordering dinner instead of orchestrating galaxy-shaking consequences. Gentlemen, ladies, you know the drill. Phase 1 has been triggered. Vadran assets are still blind to our positioning. Keep chatter disciplined. 30 minutes. 27 now, someone quipped, glancing at a clock. Cole's smile sharpened. Plenty of time. Remember, politeness first, fire second. We must be civilized even when ending civilizations. Across alien space, subtle tremors began. Communications arrays flickered, inexplicably failing. Orbital defense grids suffered glitches, alarms chirping with phantom warnings. Merchant convoys vanished from scans. None of it was enough, on its own, to raise alarms beyond confusion. Yet patterns were forming, invisible to those not attuned to human strategy. In the council chamber, alien delegates argued. The Cyril-feathered counselor flapped his wings irritably. The humans bluff. They lack fleets of such scale. Their colonies are scattered, their numbers laughable. A horned delegate countered softly. And yet, why give time? Why specify 30 minutes, if not certain? It is too exact for theater. The Vadran commander, still gloating, licked the blade of his weapon, as if to savor the blood of his execution. They will do nothing. Earth will whimper, as always. They cannot touch the Dominion. At that very moment, deep inside Vadran space, Dominion capital ships went dark. Their cores, infected by lines of human code, slipped into trade updates months earlier. In orbital stations, sabotage teams, humans who had lived years disguised as menial workers, cut through reactors with steady hands. Cole's voice in the bunker again. Gentlemen, if you hear screaming across frequencies, let them scream. Don't interrupt. Let the galaxy hear its arrogance unravel. The lieutenant blew a bubble of gum, letting it pop loudly. Think the aliens ever figure out half our humor? Doesn't matter, her commander replied. Confusion is half the weapon. Back in the council chamber, the confusion deepened. A wide-eyed aquatic species delegate leaned forward, water sloshing in his containment sphere. Why are so many comm buoys offline? My sector reports silence from 3 colonies. The Cyril waved a feathered wing dismissively. Coincidence. Solar flares. Do not panic. Cole's absence was felt like pressure in the room. Even when silent, humans managed to haunt the air. The chamber screens replayed fragments of the broadcast, the 3 human girls falling, their eyes unbroken. A few delegates found themselves unable to look. A few, though they had mocked humanity before, whispered prayers under their breath, as if sensing a retribution no species had prepared for. On Mars, in a command hub carved from redstone, another team confirmed phase progression. A pilot leaned against her console, sipping from a chipped mug. 17 minutes. Fleet B is impatient. Tell Fleet B to wait. They'll get their fireworks, came the curt reply. She smirked. Humans waiting? That'll be the day. The room chuckled again, light cutting through the ominous countdown. Soldiers cracked jokes about movie nights, betting pools on which Vadran planet would burn first. Somewhere in the middle of it all, a private tuned his guitar and strummed lazily, because why not? If annihilation was scheduled, humanity insisted on providing a soundtrack. In Vadran space, admirals barked orders at technicians. Check those signals again. Why do the grids flicker? I don't know, Admiral. Reports of infiltration impossible. Nothing is impossible, the Admiral snarled. The insectoid counselor back at the chamber hissed. Listen, you feel it, do you not? The humans are too calm, too silent. They should be wailing. Instead, they smile. The Vadran commander sneered, waving his bloodied blade. Let them smile. Soon they will scream. At that exact second, the first human probe uncloaked near his Dominion's 3rd-largest shipyard, feeding live imagery to Earth's war rooms. Massive dreadnoughts floated unaware, workers strolling across gantries. In 15 minutes, those same dreadnoughts would be fireballs streaking across the void. Cole's voice again, his smile unbroken even in private feed. 12 minutes, everyone. Do remember, timing is theater. Make the first strike operatic. The war room filled with grins. Humans adored theater, especially when the final act ended in fire. The council chamber grew restless. More delegates reported anomalies. A merchant convoy gone. A governor silent. Too many silences. Too much coincidence. Finally, the elder of the Shalari, a species long-lived and cautious, rasped aloud. Fools. The humans are not bluffing. 30 minutes means 30 minutes. You invited fire into your house, and you laugh while it sharpens its knives. The chamber hushed. Even the Vadran paused, scales rippling uneasily. But arrogance outweighed instinct. Cole's absence was the loudest voice in the room. On Earth, the countdown reached 5 minutes. Operators checked systems, fingers poised over keys. The lieutenant glanced at the clock, then at her commander. What do you think it'll look like? First strike. The commander's jaw tightened. Like justice, but louder. In alien space, Dominion citizens carried on unknowing. Markets bustling, children laughing, skies calm. Above them, cloaked fleets angled into perfect lines of fire. 3 minutes. Cole stood in a corridor outside the council chamber, hands clasped behind his back, humming softly. A tune from old Earth, one the translators didn't bother parsing because it meant nothing to aliens. But to Cole, it was a hymn of endings. 2 minutes. The council erupted in argument, voices crashing, wings flaring, claws scraping. Some demanded investigation. Some demanded humans be censured. The Vadran commander laughed too loudly, too desperately, his arrogance straining at the edges. 1 minute. On Earth, silence fell in the war rooms. Even the joke stopped, replaced by the quiet intensity of a predator waiting for the kill. Cole checked his watch. The smile never left his lips. He whispered softly, as if to himself, though every human feed caught it clear. And now. In the distance, alarms began to shriek across Dominion channels. Too late. Too sudden. Too final. And in the chamber, every delegate felt the moment shift, though none yet saw why. The alarms began like whispers. At first, Dominion comm officers thought them malfunctions, flickers of red light, sirens stuttering in confused bursts. But whispers became screams. Entire shipyards vanished from scanners. Orbital defense grids flared offline. Merchant fleets, once steady blue dots across tactical maps, blinked out one after another as though swallowed by void itself. Then came the first fireball. In the Dominion's third-largest shipyard, a dreadnought blossomed into an orange wound against the black canvas of space. Its core detonated, tearing neighboring vessels into shrapnel, the explosion spreading like dominoes across a fleet too dense to maneuver. Thousands of Vadran workers vaporized in a single instant, their final shrieks traveling no farther than the static hiss left in the wake of human sabotage. The council chamber trembled as news feeds flooded in. Delegates shouted in disbelief, their voices colliding, wings flaring, antennae quivering, claws scraping across marble. Impossible, a scaled diplomat shrieked. No one could infiltrate so deeply, so quickly. But Cole Harridan only stood near the chamber's arching window, gazing outward as though admiring stars. His smile was quiet, polite, almost wistful. I did say 30 minutes, he murmured. Across Dominion space, the inferno spread. Human fleets decloaked, their warships unlike the elegant spires or organic crescents of alien design. Earth's vessels were brutalist, angular, ugly in their efficiency, floating fortresses of steel, engines roaring with nuclear fire, weapons locked in symmetrical lines. Alien critics had mocked them as crude once. They weren't laughing now. A squadron of human destroyers cut through a Dominion patrol flotilla in under 60 seconds, their railguns firing streams of tungsten slugs at near-light velocity. The Dominion ships shattered like glass against stone, hulls peeling apart as oxygen burned. Human pilots laughed over comms, tossing quips like darts at a pub board. Remind me to write home after this, one voice crackled. Tell Mom I roasted lizard tonight. Save me a leg, another replied. But it tastes like chicken. The alien listening posts caught every line, broadcasting human banter even as their fleets died screaming. To the council, the humor was monstrous. Battlefields as slaughterhouses, murder disguised as jokes. Yet for humans, humor was survival, a way to carry fire without letting it consume their own souls. On the Dominion capital world of Vicar, panic clawed through marble streets. Civilians looked up to see their skies bleeding with streaks of fire as orbital bombardments began. Missiles rained down, precise, deliberate, each strike severing power grids, command centers, shipyards. The humans had not come for conquest. They had come for erasure. An elder alien in the council chamber collapsed into a seat, whispering, "They are predators. Always were. We just forgot." Cole turned his head slightly, eyes cold though his lips still smiled. "We didn't forget," he said softly. "We just waited for you to remind us." The Vadran commander roared across the chamber, voice ragged with fury. "You dare! You insolent animals! You murder our children for 3 of yours." Cole's gaze fixed on him like a scalpel. "No. We murder your empire because you made the mistake of thinking ours were expendable. You broadcast their execution to the stars. You invited judgment. Now, Commander, judgment has RSVP'd. Another Dominion fleet scrambled near their colony of Urex. Human warships were already waiting. They struck not with random savagery, but with orchestration that spoke of decades of planning. Drones infiltrated power cores. Sabotage codes detonated reactors from within. Boarding parties appeared where no transports had been seen, knives and rifles in hand. Within minutes, the Dominion fleet was in flames, its admirals screaming that nothing made sense. Alien delegates trembled, trying to rationalize. How could humans prepare so precisely? They lack resources. A quiet chitter from the insectoid delegate cut him off. Resources? No. Cunning? Yes. They planted seeds years ago. Every trade, every cultural exchange, every handshake carried a knife hidden beneath. Cole inclined his head toward the insectoid, polite as always. At least someone was paying attention. The chamber grew suffocating as more reports poured in. Whole planets darkened. Colonies screamed for help and went silent mid-transmission. The galaxy had never seen such simultaneity of destruction. Not in a war spanning centuries. Not in genocides whispered in shame. Humanity was not waging war. Humanity was conducting an execution of its own. In the council gallery, a young aquatic delegate pressed fins against his containment sphere, trembling. But they smile while they do it. They joke. Cole's reply was a whisper that carried like thunder. Because if we stopped smiling, the galaxy would see what we truly are. And no one would ever sleep again. On Vicar, Dominion ground forces scrambled to mount a defense. Tanks rolled through streets, soldiers fired into the sky. Then the first human orbital strike landed. White fire blossomed, hotter than suns, reducing armored columns to pools of metal. Infantry burned in silence before their screams could reach their throats. Human drones descended like locusts, firing with precision, erasing resistance block by block. The Dominion had once mocked humanity's primitive history, wars fought with steel, fire, gas. They forgot that those very wars had forged a species intimate with annihilation. To humans, destruction was not theory. It was heritage. Across the council chamber, chaos surged. Some demanded immediate sanctions. Others cried for surrender. A few whispered prayers to gods who had never answered before. Cole raised a hand, silencing them. His smile held, but his words cut sharp. Understand this. We are gardeners. We nurture. We share. But when weeds strangle the garden, we do not weep while pulling them out by the root. Alien eyes widened, some in horror, some in awe. The metaphors humans wielded sounded gentle, but the reality beneath was blade and fire. Reports of burning planets cascaded across the chamber screens. Each one struck like a drumbeat in a funeral march. The Dominion's territories were not merely under attack, they were unraveling. Every thread pulled at once by human hands that had woven this trap long before. In a war room on Earth, operators tracked targets with calm precision. A private strummed his guitar again, singing softly over comms, his voice incongruous against the screams of alien admirals. Country roads, take me home. The lyrics drifted into static as another fleet died. Alien translators scrambled to interpret the song. Are they mocking us with hymns? One asked. A human commander only grinned. No. We're reminding ourselves we have something worth fighting for. That's the difference. The Vadran commander collapsed to his knees in the council chamber, his arrogance finally shattering. Please, he croaked. Spare some. Spare our children. Cole walked closer, voice almost kind. Children? You made ours bleed before the galaxy. Did you think mercy was free? The chamber quieted to stillness. Even species who hated humans dared not interrupt. Outside, Dominion planets burned. Cities fell silent. Skies glowed with fire that would not fade for centuries. Cole leaned closer to the Vadran commander, his words low, intimate, terrifying. We gave you 30 minutes. That was your mercy. This is our memory. A final explosion lit the chamber screens. Vikar's skies split open as the Dominion capital cracked beneath human bombardment, its continents aflame, its oceans boiling. Billions of voices silenced in one coordinated breath. The chamber gasped as one. The galaxy shifted in that instant, the myth of human fragility dying forever. Cole straightened, turning back to the council with his smile restored, polite as a dinner guest. This concludes our 30-minute demonstration. Now about the rest of your planets. Silence weighed heavier than the fire. After Vikar burned, the council chamber sat like a tomb. Delegates clutched at robes, shells, feathers, and chitin, their eyes locked on the screens, still showing Dominion cities crumbling into cinders. The galaxy's arrogance had ended in 30 minutes, and the echo of that precision still rattled through every species present. Cole Harridan stood where he had been all along, near the great arched window, gazing out at the void as if the destruction were nothing more than a passing meteor shower. His suit was immaculate, his posture easy, his smile as steady as the day Earth joined the council. Yet behind that smile, every alien saw the reflection of their own mortality. At last, one delegate, trembling with both awe and terror, broke the silence. This is madness. No species should wield such vengeance. No people should be so cruel. Cole turned, hands clasped politely before him. His voice was velvet laced with steel. Cruelty would have been to let you wonder if our daughter's blood was worth anything. Cruelty would have been hesitation, bureaucracy, tribunals. We chose clarity. The galaxy understands clarity. The elder of the Shalari leaned forward, his silvered eyes wet with the weight of centuries. And what lesson do you think you have taught us, human? Cole tilted his head. That restraint is not weakness. That mercy is not infinite. That if you touch what we cherish most, you will find fire waiting. The chamber stirred uneasily. Some whispered agreement, others condemnation, but all kept their voices low, as if afraid volume itself might trigger more fire. The Vadran commander knelt still, his scales dulled, his voice a rasp. We surrender. The Dominion surrenders. Spare the rest. Cole regarded him for a long moment. His smile did not falter, but his eyes carried a colder truth. We didn't come for conquest. You surrender to emptiness now. What you built on cruelty cannot be spared. But perhaps if the survivors learn, your children might one day plant again in the ash. In war rooms across Earth and Mars, operators confirmed objectives. The guitar-playing private strummed a final chord, letting the sound fade over channels now filled with alien static. Pilots leaned back in their seats, their laughter exhausted but still sharp. Soldiers already trading jokes about who owed who beers once the debriefs ended. Humanity had moved on to banter even as the galaxy bled. That was how they survived themselves. But not all was jest. Behind every grin was the ghost of three girls, their faces broadcast to the stars, their courage lingering in silence. Humanity carried them now, as it always carried its dead, with teeth bared and heads high. The Cyril-feathered counselor whispered, "How can you laugh after this? How can you speak of songs and gardens when entire worlds scream?" Cole's answer was simple. "Because if we wept every time, we would drown. And if we drowned, you would all mistake it for weakness again." A horned delegate leaned forward, trembling. "Then you are monsters." Cole's smile grew brighter, almost cheerful. "No, we are human. Monsters don't write poetry about their pain. Monsters don't cradle their dead and sing to them. Monsters don't hesitate before pulling the trigger. We do. We hesitate. Until you take our children. Then we don't." The Shalari elder's voice cracked. "What happens now?" Cole spread his hands as if the matter were mundane. "Now, nothing. We go home. We bury our daughters. We sing our songs. We drink to their names. We live. And you remember, because the galaxy must always remember." The chamber shuddered with the implication. The humans were not seeking thrones, not demanding tribute. They wanted something far more dangerous, memory. On surviving Dominion worlds, smoke curled into space. Human fleets hovered like executioners who had finished their task, engines humming in eerie synchronicity. They did not land. They did not conquer. They only watched until silence settled, then turned and vanished into the void. It was not war. It was message. The insectoid delegate whispered, clicking nervously. "You planned this for years, didn't you? Waiting for the moment. Waiting for the excuse." Cole's eyes glimmered. "Would you have listened if we warned you? Would anyone? The galaxy laughs at human threats. So we gave you proof." The aquatic delegate pressed fins against his containment sphere, voice breaking. "Every empire will arm now. Every species will fear you." Cole's tone was gentle, but the sharp edge beneath remained. "Good. Fear teaches where arrogance fails." The chamber quieted again. Each delegate wrestled with what they had witnessed. Some plotted revenge in secret hearts. Others whispered of alliances with Earth. A few, wiser than the rest, understood the deeper truth. Humanity had not revealed all. If they could orchestrate this much destruction in 30 minutes, then somewhere, in shadows, worse waited. Cole clasped his hands behind his back, gazing out once more at the void. His words came softer now, reflective, almost elegiac. "We are not conquerors. We have no interest in your thrones, your palaces, your titles. We are neighbors. But neighbors defend their homes. And if you ever again harm what is ours, we will turn the galaxy into a lesson carved in ash." The Shalari elder whispered hoarsely, "And what is that lesson, human?" Cole turned, his smile as wide and warm as ever, though his eyes were storms. "That mercy is a choice. And you burned it." For a long moment, no one spoke. The council chamber was filled only with the quiet hum of systems, the echo of words that would linger far longer than fire. Aliens who had once mocked humanity now avoided their gaze, too afraid of what they might see reflected there. Reports poured across channels, Dominion forces surrendering, colonies reduced to silence, entire sectors gone dark. Some delegates recoiled, others leaned forward hungrily, sensing power shifts. But all were bound now by the knowledge that humanity had teeth sharper than any predator in the stars. Cole tapped his wristwatch, glancing at the time as though nothing more important than a dinner reservation awaited him. "Now, if you'll excuse me, Earth has a baseball game tonight. We wouldn't miss it." With that, he bowed, courteous to the last, and walked from the chamber. The echoes of his footsteps were louder than the alarms of burning worlds.